She told you she liked you. She said you were different, and you believed her. But now she's distant, unpredictable, impossible to read. You replay every message, every silence, trying to decode what changed. The truth: nothing changed. She was never really into you, even when she said she was. Harsh, maybe, but necessary, because until you learn to see through the illusion, you'll keep chasing women who only mirror your effort back at you. In this video, I'll show you the 7 signs that reveal when her words don't match her intent, when her affection is just performance. Once you understand these signs, you'll stop confusing attention with affection, and finally see who's truly choosing you and who's just keeping you close enough to stay useful. There's always a power balance in attraction. One gives, one withholds, and the one who cares more usually loses control first. Most men don't even notice when the scale tips. They start compensating, over-explaining, chasing what should have been mutual. Meanwhile, she's already rewritten the rules, quietly shifting from genuine interest to emotional leverage. This isn't about blaming her. It's about understanding the strategy behind it, because the moment you recognize how the game is played, you stop being played. In love, awareness isn't cynicism. It's protection. If you want to stay 2 steps ahead in both love and life, hit like and subscribe. Here I'll teach you how to see the patterns most men miss until it's too late. Now tell me in the comments, do you think power always belongs to the one who cares less? Or can 2 people ever play fair in love? Keep watching, because what you're about to hear next will show you how easily illusion can feel like connection until you learn to read it for what it really is. Number 1. The illusion of connection. There's a strange thing that happens when a man starts to fall for a woman. He begins to fill in the blanks. A small smile, a lingering glance, a text that reads a little warmer than usual. And suddenly, he builds an entire story out of it. In his mind, every detail feels meaningful, like fate quietly scripting a connection between 2 souls. But the truth, most of the time, it's not fate, it's fantasy. What you felt wasn't a bond. It was your own need for validation dressed up as chemistry. You saw what you wanted to see because it felt good to believe that someone finally saw you back. She didn't lie. She didn't promise forever. She simply existed. And you mistook her presence for interest. You read into the pauses, the tone, the rhythm of her replies, and convinced yourself that there's something there. But connection isn't built on interpretation. It's built on reciprocation. And if she wasn't matching your energy, your effort, your vulnerability, then you weren't building something together. You were building it alone. That's the hardest part to swallow. Realizing that she didn't deceive you. You deceived yourself because deep down you wanted it to mean something. You wanted her to be different from the rest. You wanted to be chosen. So you projected your desire onto every ambiguous signal, every polite smile, every maybe next time. You told yourself she's shy or slow to open up. You rationalized the gaps, the silences, the half-hearted replies. You made excuses for her because admitting the truth that you were never really seen would hurt too much. But there's a quiet kind of freedom in that realization, because once you understand that the connection only existed in your head, you stop waiting for her to validate your worth. You stop chasing illusions. You see, she never owed you interest, affection, or commitment. But you owe yourself honesty, the kind that burns at first but heals later. And once you see that you weren't her victim, you were your own magician, conjuring meaning out of nothing, you finally wake up. The illusion fades, and in its place stands clarity. Cold, clean, necessary. Number 2. Inconsistency. She tells you she misses you, but disappears for days. She makes plans, then cancels at the last minute with a soft apology that sounds almost sincere. She talks about how much she enjoys your energy, yet you can never seem to get more than scraps of her time. You keep replaying her words, trying to decode them, hoping they'll eventually match her actions, but they won't, because people who are emotionally serious act with consistency. They don't go warm, then cold. They don't express affection one day and vanish the next. When a woman truly values a connection, she protects it. She nurtures it. She doesn't gamble with it just to see if you'll stay. The problem is inconsistency triggers the most dangerous response in a man who cares. It makes him chase clarity. You start telling yourself, she's just busy. She's confused. She's scared. You build theories to protect her image because you don't want to accept what's right in front of you. She's not invested. Sometimes inconsistency isn't about cruelty, it's about comfort. She likes the attention, but fears the weight of commitment. So, she gives just enough to keep you engaged, but never enough for you to feel secure. It's emotional ambivalence disguised as connection. And here's where it gets psychological. The inconsistent partner is unconsciously testing your boundaries. Not because she plans to hurt you, but because she wants to know how much chaos you'll tolerate. Every late reply you forgive. Every last-minute excuse you accept. It tells her exactly how little she needs to give to keep you around. You tell yourself you're being understanding. In reality, you're training her that your time, your energy, your affection, none of it needs to be respected. You're teaching her that effort is optional. Consistency doesn't require explanation. When someone wants you, they show up. Period. It doesn't matter how busy life gets. When someone values you, you'll feel it, not have to wonder about it. So stop excusing the inconsistency. Stop romanticizing the confusion. Every flake, every delay, every disappearing act is a quiet message. You care more than I do? And once you read it for what it is, the spell breaks. The chaos stops feeling mysterious and starts feeling small, because inconsistency isn't a sign of emotional depth. It's a sign of emotional disinterest. Number 3. She never invests. You text first. You plan the dates. You find ways to keep the energy alive. And when things start to fade, you're the one reviving the conversation, reminding her that there's still something worth saving. But look closer. What happens when you stop trying? Silence. Nothing. The whole thing dies the moment you stop feeding it. That's not love. That's dependency disguised as connection. A relationship cannot be built on one person's effort. When a woman truly values you, you will see it. She doesn't just respond, she initiates. She remembers the little details you mention. She makes time, not excuses. But when you're the only one showing up, what you're really doing is paying off an emotional debt that was never yours to begin with. You see, men who care too much in an unbalanced connection start overcompensating. You sense her pulling away, and instead of stepping back, you lean in harder, sending longer texts, giving more reassurance, buying time you shouldn't have to buy. And every time you do that, you teach her that your energy is free, that she doesn't have to earn your presence. This is where your value begins to bleed out slowly, not because she took it, but because you kept giving it away in the hope she'd notice. But she won't. People rarely value what costs them nothing. The truth is, she's comfortable letting you carry the emotional weight because it requires no effort on her part. She doesn't have to plan, worry, or invest. She knows you'll fill the gaps, and you always do. But there's power in letting the silence speak. Stop reaching out first. Stop over-explaining your intentions. Stop doing the work of two people. Watch how fast busy turns into gone. It's not punishment. It's revelation. You'll see when she doesn't invest. It's not that she can't. It's that she won't. And that distinction matters because effort is always a choice. And the moment you stop chasing, something inside you shifts. You realize you were never part of a relationship. You were performing a one-man show for an audience that stopped clapping long ago. Number 4, she's always busy. You ask to meet up and she says, "I'd love to, but this week is insane." You suggest another day and she promises to check her schedule. Then nothing. A few days later, she pops back with a casual, "Hey, how's your week?" Like the last conversation never happened. You take the bait, try again, and the cycle repeats. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. Everyone is busy. People make time for what they care about. When she keeps you waiting in the lobby of her life, it's because you're not on the priority list. You're the maybe later, not the see you soon. And if you've been hearing later for weeks or months, then it's not her calendar that's full. It's your interest that's empty. Here's the psychology behind it. Saying no feels uncomfortable. It creates guilt. So instead of rejecting you outright, she outsources rejection to time. She lets silence do the dirty work. That way she gets to keep her moral high ground. She never said she wasn't interested, right? She just said she was busy. It's polite dishonesty. It spares her from confrontation but traps you in confusion. You start believing that if you just wait long enough, she'll come around. You start rewarding inconsistency with patience. But here's the reality. When you have to fight for space in someone's world, it's not love, it's survival. And love should never feel like a negotiation for attention. Think about it. When you truly want to see someone, you don't need perfect timing. You make it happen. A 5-minute call, a quick coffee, a just wanted to hear your voice. Effort doesn't require convenience, only intent. The ghost of effort, the maybe next week, the sorry, I've just been swamped keeps you hoping. But that hope is what drains you. Because hope without reciprocation becomes self-harm. So read the silence for what it is. A quiet, passive goodbye. You don't need to chase, remind, or reapply for the position of worth her time. When she keeps claiming she's too busy, take it as the clearest no she's capable of giving. And when you finally stop trying to fit into her schedule, you'll realize she was never too busy for love, just too indifferent for yours. Number 5, breadcrumbing. She never disappears completely, but she never truly stays either. She'll like your photo when you start pulling away. She'll reply to your story with a teasing emoji. She'll send a hey stranger just when you've almost moved on. It's not enough to rebuild anything, but it's just enough to keep you from letting go. That's not connection. That's control. Breadcrumbing is the art of keeping someone emotionally available without giving them real closeness. A digital wave here, a nostalgic text there. Small doses of attention designed to keep your mind spinning. You think maybe she still cares, but the truth is she just doesn't want to lose her safety net. Psychologically, this is called intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive form of reward. When affection comes inconsistently, your brain releases dopamine not because of the love itself, but because of the uncertainty. You become hooked not on her, but on the chase for her next moment of validation. And she knows consciously or not that it works. So every time she senses you pulling away, she drops a crumb, a little reminder that she could still be yours. Someday, maybe you stay not because she gives you hope, but because she never fully takes it away. It's emotional limbo and it's exhausting. She might not mean to be cruel. Maybe she just enjoys the power. The feeling of being desired without having to give anything back. But regardless of her intention, the effect is the same. You end up stuck orbiting around someone who never plans to let you land. Here's the shift. Silence is not a tactic. It's clarity. The moment you stop reacting to crumbs, the dynamic collapses. When you no longer reward inconsistency with attention, the game loses its thrill for both of you. Ask yourself this. If you have to constantly guess whether she's into you, she's not. Real interest feels grounded, not confusing. So stop reading between the lines. There's nothing written there. Every maybe, every delayed response, every flirty check-in is just another way of keeping you suspended. When someone wants you, they give you more than breadcrumbs. They give you a seat at the table. On if all you've been fed are crumbs, it's time to stand up and leave hungry, because hunger for truth is always better than starving on false hope. Number 6, she avoids intimacy. You can talk for hours, but the conversations never go beneath the surface. You share parts of yourself, but she keeps her sealed behind polite smiles and vague answers. She flirts, she teases, she plays. But when you reach for something real, something human, she steps back. At first you think she's just guarded. Maybe she's been hurt before. Maybe she just needs time, but weeks pass and you start to realize there's no wall you can climb because she's not even inside it. She's somewhere else entirely. People who fear closeness often perform connection instead of living it. They mirror your energy. Give just enough emotional feedback to make you believe you're bonding, but never enough to actually bond. It's like hugging a reflection. You feel warmth for a second, but it disappears the moment you reach out. This isn't about you not being enough. It's about her being afraid. Afraid of being seen, of being known, of being vulnerable. True intimacy requires risk. The risk of being understood. And some people would rather stay lonely than be exposed. So she keeps it light, keeps it safe. Every time you open up, she redirects. Every time you share something deep, she floats back to small talk. Her goal isn't to connect. It's to avoid the discomfort that connection brings. You begin to feel it like trying to hold water in your hands. She's there, but not really. And that emotional distance starts to hollow you out. You stop talking about your feelings because it feels one-sided. You stop reaching because every reach ends in air. Here's the painful truth. You can't teach someone how to be ready for love. You can't train someone to open their heart when they've spent their whole life locking it shut. It's not your job to fix her fear. It's your job to protect your peace. Walk away with understanding, not resentment. Because she didn't betray you. She simply never met you in the place you were willing to go. And once you accept that, you stop chasing depth in shallow waters. The right woman won't flinch when you reach for closeness. She'll meet you there, steady, present, unafraid. Until then, stop mistaking distance for mystery. Some walls aren't meant to be broken. They're meant to remind you to stop knocking. Number 7. She keeps you for convenience, not connection. You notice the pattern. She calls when she's bored. She texts when her plans fall through. She reaches out when she needs comfort, validation, or a quick distraction from her loneliness. But when you need her, she's nowhere to be found. That's not affection. That's availability on demand. You're not her priority. You're her backup plan, a placeholder for the man she truly wants, but doesn't have yet. It sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Some people don't crave love. They crave attention. And if you keep offering it for free, they'll take it every single time. You've mistaken her moments of convenience for moments of connection. You thought that her late-night "I miss you" meant something deeper. You believed her soft tone meant care. But care isn't measured in words. It's measured in presence. And she was never really there. She used your consistency as emotional comfort. You were the safety net, the soft landing, the reliable warmth she could dip into whenever the world felt cold. But she never wanted to stay in that warmth. Just borrow it. The hardest truth to accept is that you weren't chosen. You were tolerated, not because you weren't worthy, but because you made it too easy to be taken for granted. Here's where everything changes. When you stop negotiating for love that should have been freely given, you take your power back. Stop responding to the "I miss you" that comes only after silence. Stop showing up for someone who only remembers you when it's convenient. Because love that appears only when it's easy isn't love. It's dependency. And dependency isn't connection. It's control. Walk away. Not out of bitterness, but out of respect for your own energy. You've been giving light to someone who only shows up when it's dark. Let her find her own electricity. You don't owe her closure. You owe yourself freedom. The moment you decide to stop being available, she'll notice the absence. But by then you won't care because peace feels better than her attention ever did. And that's when the illusion finally breaks. Not with anger, but with clarity. You were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. You've seen the 7 signs now. The mixed messages, the half-F effort, the disappearing acts, the crumbs of attention, the emotional distance, and the quiet indifference dressed as affection. You've seen what it looks like when a woman was never truly into you, no matter what she said. If you recognized even 2 or 3 of these signs, it's time to stop investing in potential and start respecting reality. Because the truth is, when someone truly wants you, there's no confusion. You don't have to decode their silence or chase their time. You don't have to earn what should be freely offered. For too long, you've mistaken effort for progress. You believe that if you just held on a little longer, she'd finally see your worth. But that's not how love works. Real connection doesn't need convincing. It recognizes value the moment it sees it. And I know this hurts. Admitting that she was never really into you means confronting your own hope, your own denial, your own longing to be chosen. But there's strength in that realization because it means you finally see the truth without the fantasy. Sometimes closure isn't a conversation. It's a decision. The decision to stop waiting for her to care and start caring for yourself instead. You were never too much. You were just too consistent for someone who only wanted convenience. So take that consistency, that loyalty, that heart, and save it for someone who meets you with the same. Because in the end, love should make you feel safe, not uncertain. It should bring clarity, not confusion. And when it doesn't, walking away isn't giving up. It's growing up. Sometimes the closure you need is simply realizing she was never that into you. And that's okay. If this message opened your eyes, subscribe and stay because next time we're not just decoding her, we're rebuilding you.